Hello everybody, you're about to watch a short video which is actually a segment taken from a much longer video that's forthcoming on this channel about eco-activism. That video hopefully will be available before the end of October 2021, just in time for COP26, the Climate Change Summit, which is happening in Glasgow. And it's all about what goes right and what goes wrong with eco-activism, and crucially, how to improve a movement which is very much under a lot of fire at the moment. I do this by using archive footage of activism that has worked from great comedians and activists, and the video is quite informative and very funny too. So do subscribe so you can be aware of when that video is out. In the meantime, this is a bit of a preview of a part of that long video, and it also works as a standalone video as well, because a lot of the time you do see a lot of criticism of eco-activism which is not very fair on Twitter and Facebook, and all I will do in the future is just post this video underneath that criticism and completely wipe the floor with these pricks. I hope you enjoy the video. First of all, there is plenty of criticism that every activist will always get, and you can dismiss that particular type of criticism straight away. That's calling activists soap dodgers, spongers, unemployed, shouting "get a job" at them, or questioning what class they belong to. In Matt Winning's show, he notes that only around 10% of all people are staunch climate change deniers who simply exist to shoot down all information regarding the environment in the most pathetic way possible. And these people are largely harmless despite having huge platforms, because they are mostly seen as idiots. Here's a great example. Lawrence Fox, aka Waitrose Tommy Robinson, who despite being born with a silver spoon in his mouth, has reposted an XR video of a lady describing a protest, and he comments, "Yes, I did all this before nipping home to mummy and daddy's 6-bedroom house in Hampstead for a glass of Prosecco." I went on Twitter under my account Sir Woofingtons. I know it's got nothing to do with anti-social media and there's not really much time to explain why, but I asked, why is "some of them are posh" an argument against Extinction Rebellion? I understand that "they held my auntie up in traffic" isn't a good enough excuse to hate that group, and "get a job, sponger" doesn't apply when the protesters are well off, so why attack them for being posh? And I must say, I got tons of great answers. Someone whose name I can't reveal said, "When they're well off, they're champagne socialists and hypocrites. When they're poor, they're crusties and feckless unemployed scroungers that need to get a job. When they're scientists, it's just a theory, or they're so-called experts." I'm starting to get the impression that morons like Lawrence Fox just don't want to acknowledge that things need to change. He attended Harrow and he bats for billionaires. Man of the people, he is not. They will attack them from any angle they can, anything to continue business as usual and discredit any call for change. Rich people aren't allowed to worry about the climate. Prosecco isn't even posh. Loza puts across the idea that protesters are either scrounging off the state or scrounging off mummy and daddy. Lawyers, doctors, teachers, grandparents protest over climate concerns doesn't sit with his narrative. It's easier to gain attention by discrediting than to do something himself. And finally, Lawrence Fox is a bloody stupid knob, so it might be a bit too much to expect logical consistency from him, which is fair enough, I suppose. More criticism that you can easily dismiss and not worry about at all includes people like this guy, who says that Insulate Britain are behaving like a terrorist group. Right, so that's behaving like terrorists by sitting down. That makes a lot of sense. You hear grifters say this kind of thing a lot. These people are just eco-terrorists. I mean, obviously, they won't be flying any planes into buildings or driving trucks that run on diesel or petrol into any crowds, and the fact that they're a non-violent group makes me look like a bit of a twat, but I bet you any money they all own a pair of sandals, the same type of shoes as terrorists wear. I rest my case, Your Honour. Even shitty tabloid newspapers get in on the act. We've got one in the UK called the Daily Star. I don't know what the equivalent is in America. I think it might be the National Enquirer or the New York Post, but it's just basically a newspaper that no one takes seriously, but you know, people still read it. I've redacted parts of the front page here so we don't get distracted by a scantily clad J-Lo, by the way. Posh morons cause road chaos as normal folk try to get to work, and the headline is actually quite funny. It's "Have a day off, Tarquin." Now down the bottom right hand corner they've written, "Cops stopped a fuming driver from shifting soap dodging poshos blocking 5 M25 motorway junctions." Fumes from jammed cars made the air more toxic than before. A lot of people are using that as an excuse as well for why Insulate Britain are awful people, because people are just sitting around there with their car engines running. Surely that's going to create more fumes. I'm not sure any of the people who say that are proper scientists, but if you're driving on the motorway, you're producing fumes. And if you're sat on the motorway, you're producing fumes. I'm not sure there's a great deal of difference with the amount of emissions if you're driving or sitting. All in all, the aim of grifters, propagandists and general lazy critics of eco-activism is to dehumanise activists by any means necessary, to somehow paint concern for the environment or concern for climate change as a bad thing. Another thing critics of eco-activists do is to put the entire blame of climate change onto China, because we all know they produce a lot of emissions. However, saying, but China? What about China? Is such a feeble argument when you consider that British banks invest in fossil fuels, which, last time I looked, were being used globally. So China may have a stupid amount of coal mines, but we help finance every other form of pollution. They also never mention that China is going to likely be the leader of renewable energy in the near future, as it's currently the largest producer of wind and solar energy. For some people, there is no acceptable form of protest, no acceptable form of activism. Take footballers who kneel before a match. They do so to protest racism and support equality. They bend down for 3, maybe 5 seconds silently just before a match starts. And every awful person under the sun has a big issue with this. Ask them why they don't like this protest, and they will come up with not 1, not 2, not 20, but about 30 or 40 excuses of why it's a bad thing. To the point where there's so many reasons why people hate an anti-racism protest that I had to make a video about it. And yes, this is just a tenuous plug for that video. It's called Are Fans That Hate Kneeling Racist? Every single anti-kneeling argument destroyed, where I take every excuse they give and completely tear it apart. Luckily that video is very satirical and very funny, so if you haven't seen that video yet on my channel, there will be links to it at the end of this video and below in the description box. It's possibly the best thing I've ever made. Whilst only about 10% people are adamant climate change deniers, the worry is the grey area in the middle, the people who are undecided about climate change and what they should do about it. If they hear enough of these awful people saying stupid things about climate activists and climate change, then some of them will be drawn towards those people and convinced that the whole thing is bollocks. One big sham. So again, that's where Extinction Rebellion comes in. By not pissing off too many people with their protests, engaging and entertaining at the same time, there's a good chance they could sway a lot of the people who are indifferent or undecided about climate change to end up on the same side as Extinction Rebellion. Thank you very much for watching this short video. As I said earlier, it's taken from a much longer video on my channel, and as many regular subscribers know, there's not many long form analysis style documentary videos on my channel. I'll probably only do 1 or 2 a year, but they really are very top draw, if I may say so myself. So I really am looking forward to giving you the whole video. That's one segment out of about 8 on from the video, so you can see just how long it's going to be. Well over 45 minutes and very detailed indeed. So I hope you join me for that one. In the meantime, one of the reasons why I uploaded this is not just because it's a standalone video as well, but also because people who may be aware of my financial situation this year means I have to keep pumping out videos in order to try and make a little bit of cash from YouTube. It's a very small amount, and there is a payout coming in the future of £60, which is about $80. But I just am very short. I'm just a little bit short of that total. So hopefully this video is monetized. If it's not, let's pretend it isn't, then maybe you'd like to throw $1 or 2 my way to show appreciation of this kind of video and to encourage me to make more videos like this in the future. If so, please throw $1 or 2, £1 or £2 my way via PayPal, or you can join my Patreon where you'll be charged once a month, $1 or 2 once a month. Or you can buy me a coffee, or if you're in Britain, think of it as you buy me a pint of cider. All the links are below, and there's one at the end of the video as well to click on if you prefer. Please join me in about a week, I think, for this for the premiere of this eco-activism video. And like and subscribe. Until next time, latest betas. Bye-bye.